There's a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, companionship, happiness, health, and peace of mind. As you tap into this power, it will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, and I teach practical spirituality along and according to the New Thought tradition. New Thought teaches that there's one presence and power that expresses in and through all of life everywhere, and that this presence and power expresses in you, through you, and as you. In New Thought, we teach that our thinking is creative, and that your thoughts become a reality according to the strength and the desire contained within the thought. Not just your casual thought, but the sum total of your thinking, your paradigms, your belief systems. And so what we teach is that it's up to you to get a new definition of God, a new definition of spirit, infinite intelligence, divine love, whatever you choose to call the creative power in the universe, so you then can get a greater understanding of your relationship to this power and how it actually seeks to express through you and as you. We teach that the two main aspects of this power are love and wisdom. Wisdom is that you receive whatever divine idea is necessary for you to have peace and joy and health and prosperity. All you need to do is say, okay, universe, God, spirit, whatever you choose to call this power, what ideas do I need here? It's actually that simple. And then we teach that love is the glue that holds the universe together. Love is the presence and power within you, that energy. And so that's what we teach on Spirituality Rocks. My show today is spectacular. I have on the telephone Eileen Parr. She's from Nottingham, England. And Eileen Parr has this fantastic work that she's done with the senses, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But in the studio, I have with me Saba Mchunguzi. He's from Unity Church of Healing Light. And later on, we have via Skype Nicole Cook, who is the author of Moondrops. So let's get busy. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Saba Mchunguzi from Unity Church of Healing Light. If you happen to be in Huntington, Long Island, that's the church to check out.
Yes, good evening, Reverend Janine. It's great seeing you.
It's great to see you, yeah, again. And wow, do we have an action-packed show or what?
Yes, we do. I can't wait.
Yeah. So let's get to it. We have on the telephone calling us all the way. It's an international show now.
Okay, all right.
Eileen Parr from Nottingham, England. And you can check her out at eileenparr, Parr.com. Welcome to Spirituality Rocks, Eileen Parr.
Hi, Janine and Reverend Saba. Lovely to be with you.
It is lovely to have you with us. And what I'd like the people to do is to check out your website, eileenparr.com, because what your recent work is creating the everyday sacred through your six senses. Tell us a little bit about this program.
Well, this program has come out of my own searches for a simpler way of living a sacred life. I don't know about you, but I get very overloaded with information these days with the internet. There's so much good stuff around, but I felt that I needed to process something for myself that was a very simple way of approaching the everyday sacred. I come from a background where I have to have things very practical. Philosophy is great, but I need to be able to apply it in the everyday. So that's where I began.
I see. Well, we also know, we were talking a little earlier, is that you help, you're a spiritual mentor and guide to authors. You help authors. Tell us more about that work.
Well, a couple of years ago, I set up an online event called Writing from Your Heart online gatherings, and I brought together, the first one, I brought together 15 speakers, and we went through the whole process of what you need to be able to write the book, your connection with spirit, however you call it, how to be powerful enough to speak out in the world, from start to finish, really, to try and help people who were on the brink of writing or had started to write and then got frightened about it. And I've hosted I'm about to host my fourth in November. And we've moved on into different subjects with each one. So the second one was about increasing creative flow. The third one last November was about authentic voice, in which one of my speakers was somebody you've interviewed, which is Dennis Merritt Jones.
Yes.
And
He's been on the show many times.
The fourth one this year is going to be about meditation and self-inquiry for writers.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Wow. So now, is that only for people who are in England where you are, or is it?
No, it's international. The larger percentage of the people who sign up are actually in North America.
Okay, so we would just go to your website to sign up? Is that what it is?
The site for this year's event will go live in the middle of October. So the best place to go to check it out will be my eileenparr.com site, because it will be announced there when the site is live.
Awesome, fantastic. So that's specifically for authors. What this program that you have on the internet is fantastic, because what you do is help people open up to the divine power within and receive inspiration and discover your true purpose and your voice. And what I like about it is that when you go on the internet, first of all, you talk about, you can hear a little audio where Eileen talks about creating the everyday senses, and she gives 2 reflective experiences. But right there on the internet, she leads you through a practice that you can embody on the spot to help you get more mindful in the now moment of using your senses.
Fantastic.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
And it's, as she said a few minutes ago, making it practical so that people can do it and apply it right away.
And you know what I like about it too, Eileen? It's very clear. It's a lot of times you'll see something on the internet, they try to sell you, and it's page after page, and it shouts at you in big letters in here. This is very elegantly and simply stated. You give a practice to create the everyday sacred through your 6 senses.
Yeah, I don't shout, Janine. I can't shout. You know, I've experienced this for myself. It's something that I've built up a practice for myself over the past probably 18 months, and I've tested it out in my own life. So what I'm saying to people is, this has worked for me. And if I just tell you that I have a background, I was a holistic therapist for 13 years. So I'm very used to people coming in to me very stressed out, you know, very kind of hyper in their minds. And my job at that time was to try and get them back into their bodies. And the program that I've brought together in creating the Everyday Sacred is exactly that. It's trying to encourage people to be back in their bodies in order to be able to be in the moment. I mean, everybody talks about we need to be in the moment, we need to be in the present. But often people have that as an intellectual idea and aren't really very sure about how to put it into action.
Exactly. And when you go to the website, you can see how it's structured. You explain the topics in each session, and you give practical experiences of visualization, meditation, and relaxation. What I really liked about this, because I think this is something that a lot of people have issues with, Saba, is that in session 2, Eileen talks about the gremlin of self-criticism.
Okay, and it's a well-known fact that most people are their worst critic. We're very overly critical of ourselves. So it's good that that's one of the topics that Eileen covers.
Yeah, what were you saying, Eileen?
Well, I think that obviously we don't have a huge amount of time, so I don't want to go into this in too much depth. But I think one of the things that I found when I was testing this program out was that not just me, I mean, you know, I'm not putting it across that I know all the answers. I don't. I fall off this 100 times a day. But the important thing is that I get up and start again, because in each moment you can start afresh with this approach. But one of the problems that I've had, and the people who I've tested this with, is this thing about self-criticism. And of course, I think it's important in the practices that
Indeed, and I'm so thrilled to know that you offer a technique for that, because I'm not sure people really know how to be lovingly kind to themselves.
No, not at all. not
Yeah.
at all. I mean, many people feel that they're not worthy for whatever reasons,
Right.
and many people are just beat down by society, by their job, or by the pressures and tensions of just everyday life. So they really are not loving to themselves.
Right.
Even the whole area of self-care, which you know is important. I mean, many people in our field, ministers or therapists, whatever, don't take the time for that, for their own self-care.
Well, even as we were reading on the website, Eileen even spoke about that, is that there's so many things vying for our attention.
Yes.
And that's what stresses us out. Now, Eileen, you made the course in 6 weeks. And in session 4, you talk about ritual. I love ritual because ritual is intended to reveal what's going on in your mind and your heart, and rituals are repetitive. What kind of ritual do you talk about in your program?
Well, what I wanted to bring to people's attention was we do so many things every day, the same routines every day. And what I was trying to point out was that if we're trying to build an ongoing daily sacred life, we can take a look at some of these things, just simple things like making a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. So how do we turn that into something sacred, which then becomes a ritual? If you look at the definitions between ritual and routine these days, there's very little difference between them. The important thing is the intention that you bring to it and the attention that you actually give it. So making a cup of tea, for example, you can think about where the tea has come from. You can think about the people who've picked the tea. And all the time you're making this connection between yourself. If we believe that we're all one and that we're all connected, then these are very simple ways of actually putting that into practice. And also, it's a bit like getting a muscle memory when you're building up a skill. I don't think there's anything different between, say, learning a sport and learning the practices that we need in order to be able to trust in our approach to building a sacred life. Does that make sense?
Indeed it
Yes,
does.
Yes, very, very good.
Yeah. Now, I just want to remind people the course is called Creating the Everyday Sacred Through Your 6 Senses. And in session 5, you talk about the power of questions. I think a lot of people use questions in a negative way, especially we were talking before when we spoke about that there's sometimes what we do is we have the gremlin of self-criticism. How could I have done this? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit how you empower people with questions.
I think you're very right, Janine, about the type of questions that we ask, and that's one of the reasons that I've put into place this gathering in November, because I do feel that self-inquiry is a really important part of any writing practice that we have. And I think that questions have to be, they have to allow us not to get structured into a particular answer, like walking down a corridor, but having lots of doors that you can open to go through where there might be more interesting ways of thinking about something. We do get very, I'm not absolving myself from this, but we do get very kind of attached to particular ways of thinking about things. And what I want to encourage people with self-inquiry is to actually open out the thinking.
Got it. Open up your thinking. I love that.
Yes, yes. And the self-inquiry, I like
Yeah.
that part also.
So I want to make sure that the viewers understand is that Eileen's work is comprehensive. And so besides being a spiritual mentor and guide and creating the everyday sacred through your 6 senses, she also supports authors, those who are authors, heart-centered writers and published authors. Now, what's so neat about this course, Creating the Everyday Sacred Through Your Six Senses, is that it's a 6-week course. Eileen recommends that you take it 1 week at a time. Each lesson, there's 6 lessons, 1 week. The cost is less, it's less than $11 a week to take a course.
That's
all that it is. So that's not a lot of money to really deepen your spiritual understanding, your spiritual practice, and your spiritual connection to the power that's within you. I think it's fantastic, Eileen.
The other thing that is very good about it as an investment, this is me with my very poor sales hat on, but it is something that you can do over again, because one of the questions that I ask us to keep in the back of our mind is, how do I deepen this experience? So if you work your way through the 6 weeks, but you could take 2 weeks on a particular sense if you felt you needed it, you can always then start again, because that is how we're trying to get into a more intimate relationship with whatever we regard as God or Spirit, or however we describe it. And you can kind of just keep going with this.
Fantastic. Well, I encourage everybody to check it out. Eileen Parr, that's EILEENPARR.com. Check out the course, Creating the Everyday Sacred Through Your Six Senses. If you are an author or someone who is striving to be an author, I also invite you to connect with Eileen and be empowered and inspired by her fantastic work. So thank you so much for joining us on Spirituality Rocks, Eileen. It's just been a pleasure to speaking with you.
Yes, it has been, absolutely.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I've loved every minute.
Awesome. Bye now.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, pretty cool, huh?
Yes. I'm going to sign up for that course.
I'm definitely going to take that course too. So don't go far, because right after this commercial break, we are going to connect with Nicole Cook, who wrote the book Moondrops, which, did I tell you, it's number 17 on Amazon's bestseller list.
Really?
Stay tuned for more of Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Hi, I'm Janine Zerilli, and you're watching MadhouseTV.com.
Are you planning an event and want to include entertainment, but you're not sure where to turn?
Act1Entertainment.net has provided over 1,500 events with quality, affordable live entertainment at private parties, corporate affairs, festivals, bike rallies, and more. Act 1 will fit into your budget. They're friendly, reliable, and do all the legwork for you. They take all major credit cards. Log on to Act1Entertainment.net for a free, no-obligation price quote or call 631-758-3505 for a brochure.
You'll be happy you did.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully.
Look up. That's what we all should do, is look up and keep looking up. I am so absolutely grateful to the owners and producers at Madhouse TV Studios, Deer Park, Long Island, because everything is just upgrading and getting better and better. We've got so many TV shows here. I invite you to check it out 24/7, madhousetv.com. And I just want to say thank you for our new Skype setup, because it's fantastic. So, back in the studio, we have Saba Mchunguzi. Saba is the minister of the local Unity Church of Healing Light. What's the web address? Tell the people how they can check you out.
It's unityhuntingtonny.gov.
And if you go on the website, I understand that for any donation whatsoever, people can get a CD of the Sunday Talk, and you mail it to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. We want to get the information out there. So we're not overcharging people. Any donation, unityhuntingtonny.gov, and we'll send you any of our CDs of our service.
That's unityny.org.
.org.
I think you work for the .gov. That's why you said that. unityny.org. Yeah, he's got two jobs. So, I am very excited about our guest. I met this lovely young lady years ago. She's an author, and she's actually an incredible author. Her book, Moon Jobs for Middle Grade School Children, is number 17 on Amazon bestseller list.
Wow, that's fantastic, fantastic.
Welcome to Spirituality Rocks, Nicole Cook.
Great having you.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
It's such a pleasure to have you. So tell us a little bit about you, so the guests can get a better idea of you and your work.
Sure. So I am an only child. I was raised by three incredible people, three parents. Two of them are New Thought ministers, as you know. And so I've had a very unique upbringing. I was raised in a community of 10 people as an only child. Later moved to New York, LA, San Francisco, Atlanta. I've traveled all over the place, moved all over the place. I've also have my bachelor's and master's degree in studies in consciousness. So I've always had this sort of creative, spiritual, philosophical side to me that has started bursting out into books.
Fantastic, fantastic. And so you took your credentials with Emerson Theological Institute, and we actually had Angelo Pizzello, the dean of Emerson, was on the show a few weeks ago. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was indeed. And so your book, Moon Jobs, is so wonderful. And what I really liked about it is your intention. Tell the people about your intention for writing the book for middle grade students.
Sure. My intention with So it's really just to kind of give a little bit about the story. It's the first in a series, the Emma and Jag Adventure series. It's about two kids. One is an 11-year-old orphan girl who's highly empathic and has sparkles shooting out of her hands that can heal or hurt people, and a little boy named Jag who's from a land not on any map, and he's very energetic, very extroverted, and can sometimes know what's going to happen before it happens. And so my intention with this story was really, I I'm seeing a lot of children right now, this generation who's coming through school right now. They are just such lovely beings who have such a strong sense of self. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in the world. And I think their gifts are hinting within that subtle realm of, being very compassionate, very empathic beings. And so the intention of writing the story was really kind of celebrating those subtle gifts that we all have that may not be celebrated by the collective consciousness as it is today. And so kind of writing the story of what it means to have those gifts and experience those gifts and not know what on earth to do with them, to feel very kind of alone with them, and navigating the unknown. What does it mean to have a best friend who kind of understands what you're experiencing? What does it mean to not have a family? What does it mean to have a family? And kind of going through the adventure of life and the adventure of the unknown together. So that was kind of my intention, was to really kind of empower.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so we just heard that delightful sound. That to me is like a
sorry.
sound of validation. We have no idea where it came from. That's the sound of validation. So what is so cool also about the book, and we're talking about this book, is that it also teaches children to value who they are, give them a sense of worthiness, even if they're weird or different.
Yeah, certainly. I think a lot of books that are very popular right now have children who have really cool gifts. There's the vampire stuff that's happening, or wizardry or that sort of thing. And there's always some sort of lesson or school or place you go where you feel accepted and you understand what your tool is and your gift is and how to use it. And I think that doesn't always happen in everyday life. We don't grow up and get jobs and go to corporate America and have our subtle, silent compassion be celebrated and promoted. And so I think it's an interesting thing to have unique gifts that are maybe within that more kind of hidden realm of things that are not necessarily evident to the everyday eye.
Very well put. Not necessarily evidence to the everyday life. So
Right,
these
right.
unique gifts and talents. The book was touching to me, and I read it. I didn't want to put it down. I was forced to put it down because I had made another appointment I had to keep. But what I liked about it is where you had the young lady in the book. She was finding a place where she would feel alive and full of love and feel fulfilled. And you've addressed that. But there were so much uniqueness to the book. I mean, there was such a big reach and stretch to the imagination. That just astonishes me. Where do these ideas come from?
That was a good question. As I stated earlier, I'm an only child and I grew up in a community of 10 people, and this is just outside of Yosemite National Park. And so I had no shortage of stories running through my head as I was playing in trees or riding around on my motorcycle. So I don't know where ideas come from, but I think the word that Eileen used earlier on your show, inspired, and then bringing that into your body, I think that's certainly a practice that I understand very well. I meditate every day. I have my own rituals, as you also spoke of. And so really sort of understanding how to take my imagination and channel it and actually express it on paper or on my computer, as the case may be. And so there are also little nuggets, like, for example, the idea with the levels in this story. They're certainly metaphorical representations of levels of consciousness. But also, when I was a child, my mom and I would get into an airplane and go visit my grandmother in Arizona. And one day I said, Mom, let's go visit Grandma. And I pointed up to the sky, and my mom said, "What are you talking about? Grandma lives in Arizona." And I said, "I know, she lives in Arizona." And my mom said, "What? No, Arizona's not up. She's not in heaven." And it was one of those funny conversations that just stuck with me, because I was totally convinced as a child that there were levels, that it was our level, and then there was sky, and then ground, and I thought our world was in levels. And so little ideas like that have stuck with me just since childhood. But a lot of them just kind of flowed and came out in sort of interesting synchronistic ways.
Indeed.
Fantastic. And it's good. Right, where you were really talking about your imagination and allowing your imagination to just flow And children, as a rule, have what is called a vivid imagination. And it sounds like you are saying that children should allow that imagination to flow, even though it may be different than other people's imagination or thoughts or ideas.
Oh, absolutely. I am so excited to see what this upcoming generation creates with their imagination. I think they have information at their fingertips and they know how to find it absolutely instantly. And so I think it'll be really exciting to celebrate children's imagination and kind of help educate them through their imagination. I think they're a very independent, self-reliant bunch, and so it'll be quite exciting to see what they create with their imaginations with the world.
And that's one of the ideas in the story is that Emma and Jag, they have magic within them, what you call magic. So you're really supporting that idea. And also the idea, so the book supports the idea that our thoughts are creative. And tell us about that. I mean, I can think of it from, what Jag could see thoughts. He could see things in advance.
Yeah, with Jag, I really liked playing with that character and what that, magic, for lack of a better term, was in him, because I really like the idea that we have this momentum. So we think the thought, we create the momentum, and we start moving in that direction. We start thinking those thoughts, feeling those feelings, and then we start actually seeing the manifestation after that, the whole, be, do, and have, which my stepdad always talks about, Angelo Pizzello. And so I really like that concept, and I started kind of playing with that. And what would it mean if someone could actually tap into what that means as it's in the thought form? So, for example, in the scene I think you're mentioning, and I don't want to ruin anything, but as Emma is trying to communicate with Jag, as they're in sort of a perilous situation, she starts to realize she can think the thought and get her momentum going in that direction with her thoughts, and that he will tap into it and know what he has to do in action to co-create and make that moment happen together. Yeah. So it was a fun kind of thing to play with, and just asking the question, well, what if we were in tune with that subtlety with people? What if we could understand where people were heading before they actually headed there in physical form? So it was a really fun thing to play with.
Exactly. You know what? I want to talk more about the book, but we do need to take a commercial break. So stay tuned. I want to know also, our guest, Nicole Cook, is also a romance novelist. So we'll learn more about that right after our commercial break. Stay tuned for more of Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divine.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidisciplinary practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service. Many times patients come into our office and they have what's called a soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injuries are like scars inside your body. If you've ever been cut on the outside of your body, you get a scar. The same thing happens inside of your body to your muscles and ligaments. So our job is to determine where those are, stretch the muscles, adjust the vertebra back into their correct position, and then refortify the normal structure with exercise. That's what we do best, and I hope someday you'll come see us at one of our 2 offices. Thank you.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, and I teach practical spirituality, and I'm delighted to each week bring you fantastic New Thought teachers, authors, and speakers. Please check us out, www.spiritualityrockstv.com. We film live at the Madhouse TV studio, Deer Park, Long Island. Please like us on Facebook, too. Tell your friends about us. In the studio with me, Sam Mchunguzi. He is the spiritual leader of the local church, Unity Church of Healing Light. And you can check that out at unityhuntingtonny.org. All right, we got it. Fantastic. With us on Skype is the author of Moondrops. And Moondrops, Nicole Cook, I'm so excited for you. Your book is number 17 on Amazon's bestseller list. That is huge. Congratulations.
Congratulations, absolutely.
Thank you. I was very excited to see that.
Yes, indeed, so am I. So you know what's really neat is your intention behind creating the book was to illustrate New Thought concepts in a way that's adventurous and fun.
Uh-oh, I
And
can't
you know
hear
what?
you. I'm
You
sorry.
did it. You did it. You can't hear me, darling? Can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Okay, so while she can't hear, I'm going to still tell you more about the book. And I'll tell you, Reverend Sovereign, in case
Yes.
you didn't get a chance to finish reading it. So what Nicole did is she wants to teach these principles, but to middle grade students. And she believes that children learn by example rather than just by instruction. And so that stories are a really terrific learning tool. And they illustrate not only our imagination, but themes and concepts that empower us. And so her intention is to make a big difference and empower people through using the imagination. Nicole, can you hear us yet?
Now I can, yes.
Well, I was just telling people your intention with your book. And so now that I've done that, I want to talk about your phrasing, which I love your phrasing. I think that I started copying around your expression because I'm just going to bandy them about in my everyday life. For example, if someone calls me at 6 a.m. and I just woke up and I can't get my act together, I'm going to say, hey, listen, I need a cup of tea because right now I have muddled morning brain.
Perfect.
Wow.
I love it.
Muddled morning brain. Or I love this one. There I was. It was a cold winter's night on Long Island. The snow was 3 feet deep, and I was wrapped up in a blanket in front of the fireplace, and I was in a, you ready? cocoon of coziness. I love
That
it.
sounds great.
And you know what? There's salt and pepper throughout the book. And this one I really, really love. And when I heard this one, I thought immediately of going out. My brother lets me take out his boat all the time. Being out on the water on Long Island Sound. No, Huntington Bay, not Long Island Sound. And just staring at the beauty and just my soul being nourished. And I was, are you ready? Seeped into a state of wonder.
Wow.
The
So
book,
poetic.
It's so poetic and it's so colorful. It's so colorful. And I like Emma. I like that her eyes are emerald green. I like that Jag is so spirited and adventurous. I like the uncle. And what I really like is that you left it open for sequels. Will you be doing sequels?
Absolutely. This is the first in the series, and I really just wanted to kind of lay that foundation of who these two characters were. We have the extroverted, the introverted, and the unknown questions. I answered some questions in the first book and opened up a lot more questions to be answered. So the second one will come out probably spring to summer next year.
Well, you know, I was saying, hey, wait a minute, because I wanted to read the second book and I wanted to read it now.
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
My imagination is very active now. So I'm in the little bit that I know about the book and listening to you now, what I envision is a movie. I don't know whether you thought of it or not, and perhaps more than just one, maybe a sequel to go along with your books, but they do sound so colorful and so creative and so helpful to young people that's just my imagination.
I can really see this, Nicole, being produced in a movie. I can absolutely see that.
Well, thank you both. I love both of your imaginations. Thank you so much for that. I'm a very visual writer, and so I sort of see it all play through my head before it comes out on the page. And so thank you so much. I'm so glad that came through and inspired yours. That's wonderful.
So I want to make sure that the audience knows your website address. And so they can just look up Nicole Cook. Me, M-E, NICOLECOOK.me. So check out Nicole Cook. You can go to Amazon. The name of the book is Moondrops. And what Nicole did, because this book is specifically for middle grade students, what she's done is she has a pseudonym. It's Ilsa Dean. And she wrote
Isla.
Oh, Isla Dean. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Isla Dean. I love
Listen
it. It's so exotic. And so Nicole has written another book that's on Amazon best-selling list, Hidden Harbor, and the new one is Pacific Passion. Hidden Harbor and Pacific Passion. It's fabulous. Well, do you have any parting words for us, Nicole? We want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so nice to be here. It's been so lovely to have a conversation about kind of bridging creativity and spirituality. I love it and could go on all day. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we will be calling you. We'll invite you again to be a phone guest. But do check out NicoleCook.me on the website. Go to Amazon and see her top-ranked books and Moondrops. And then you too can visit Moondrop Mountain. And I thank you so much for joining us on Spirituality Rocks. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks.
All right.
All righty then. Wow. Yeah, isn't that fantastic? So we're going to take a quick commercial break because we're going to set up our next Skype guest, who is Jerry Troyer, Reverend Jerry Troyer. And so stay tuned for more of Spirituality Rocks.
Follow my inner guidance, peacefully, joyfully. I am peacefully, joyfully. I am divinely guided, peacefully, joyfully. Follow my inner guidance, peacefully, joyfully. I am.
Old Spice body spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! I don't. Power.
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power!
Try this routine to feel fresh and clean. Pair Charmin Fresh Mates with your Charmin.
Oh, Spice body spray is too powerful to stay in its own commercial. That's right. Power. Old Spice body spray can change a regular smelling man into a man who smells like power.
Now, how is this? Wow, you know what? I actually do feel more powerful.
Potato chips! Power! It's me.
I am Tom Mealy for the Harrison Law Group, and I have been telling you for years that getting involved in an automobile accident is no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. If you've been involved in an accident of any kind, and you go to a law firm that says you have no case, it's simple. It's because they can't do it and they don't get it. You need to call us directly at 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. Delighted to be with you. And I have on the screen Reverend... We're live on air. Are we live on air? We are live on air, okay. We're getting used to the new equipment here, and I'm very excited about the new equipment. We have new Skype, we have new everything. What's not new is my co-host, Reverend Saba Mchunguzi. Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks.
Always great to be here.
And the website is unityhuntingtonny.org. So, my guest that we have joining us from San Diego is a friend of mine. He's a colleague. He is the author of Coming Out to Ourselves. He is the Reverend Jerry Troyer. Welcome to Spirituality Rocks, Jerry Troyer.
Greetings, Dr. Janine. Thank you so much. Great to be with you.
It's just terrific to have you. And I wanted to ask you to define spirituality.
That's a really good question because a lot of people come from traditional religion and maybe were injured by traditional religion, and so they lump religion and spirituality all together. But to me, spirituality is much more of an individual practice that may or may not include going to meet with a group of people. Spirituality has to do with one's higher self, and whether that means a higher power or that just means recognizing the good within oneself and making choices that support the good within oneself. It's an individual person's choice more so than an organization's choice.
Oh, gosh, I love your definition, and I also love making choices that are healthy and appropriate to support yourself. That's fantastic. Yeah. So you are part of a spiritual summit. Tell us about this work.
I am. This is my baby, as it were, and I got a divine idea, that intuition that it's time to step into something larger and greater. And so I started talking with people back in February, people in San Diego and other places. This is the LGBTQ Spiritual Summit. And as you know, and as our viewers know, a lot of people in the gay and lesbian community come from a place of injury and separation when it comes to their spirituality. Growing up in traditional religion, we were taught that God hates us, that we are intrinsically bad, and if we're going to stay the way we were born, we're going to a fiery hell. And so many people in the gay and lesbian community, especially, just separated themselves from their religious and spiritual side and just kind of put that in the back of the closet, no pun intended. And so our first event was August 2nd in San Diego. We had over 100 people in the audience and a panel of representatives from 10 different religious denominations and spiritual traditions. So we had an evangelical and progressive Christian, we had a Catholic, we had someone from the Jewish faith, we had a Buddhist, we had a humanist, we had a religious scientist, obviously, and a couple of others answering questions about, talking about their congregation's inclusivity of the LGBTQ community, answering questions from the audience, and then we also had a breakout session on forgiving religion. This was a rainy, humid Saturday afternoon in San Diego, and those of you that are not on the West Coast don't know it, but we in San Diego are pretty spoiled. If it's not 70 degrees and sunny, we don't go out of the house. So getting 100 people on a Saturday afternoon, what that told me was that there's definitely an interest and definitely a need for this conversation. So the LGBTQ Spiritual Summit is now a nonprofit organization. Just got the notification from the IRS that we are official and nonprofit, and so contributions we receive are tax deductible. And it is my intention. We did the event, as I mentioned, August 2nd in San Diego. I've begun conversation with folks in Palm Springs about doing the next event in April or May of next year in Palm Springs. And my intention is to do this in other cities around the country and ultimately around the world.
Fantastic. Wow. So the summit was really a symposium. You had guest speakers to inspire the people, but it also sounded like it was interactive as well.
Very interactive. When folks arrived, we invited them to write down any questions that they brought with them. A lot of the questions had to do with what the Bible does and does not say about homosexuality. Some questions about women's involvement in some of the different denominations and so forth. So yes, very, very interactive. And after the actual panel discussion, each of the churches and centers and organizations that were there, represented there, had a table set up in the auditorium so people could go around and meet them and learn more about their teaching and their activities and so forth.
That's wonderful. So tell us, what is a web address? Now, we know your web address is www.revjerry,
revjerry.com.
Right.
That's where you'll find out more about me and about the book and so forth. The Spiritual Summit's address, LGBTQ, so lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered questioning, LGBTQ spiritualsummit.org. is the web address for the organization, and we are also on Facebook at LGBTQ Spiritual Summit. And you can go on and see photos from the first summit, get updates on when and where the next one will be, and so forth.
Well, that's wonderful. Author of Coming Out to Ourselves, Reverend Jerry Troyer from San Diego. Thank you so much for joining us on Spirituality Rocks.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All righty then. And so, what do you think, Reverend Saba?
That's fascinating.
Another fantastic episode.
Yes. And your last guest really brought some good information, some useful information, and information that will bring more people into a greater understanding of themselves, and help more people to love themselves.
Right, and understand that they are beloved creations.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. Understand the universe loves them.
Exactly. So next week, my guest is Jim Lockhart. He wrote the book Sacred Thinking. I am very excited about next week's show. So we air live every Thursday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at www.spiritualityrockstv.com. If you'd like to see past shows, you can go to the Madhouse TV website, or you can go to ustream.tv. Ustream.tv, the little search box at the top, right in there, Spirituality Rocks, and you'll see a plethora of shows, a bunch of fantastic shows that we've had. And also, you don't have to watch the show. Turn it on in the background. That's what some of my friends do. They turn it on in the background while they're cooking dinner or whatever they're doing. And so you can enjoy the show. You can be inspired by our guests. Please like us on Facebook. If there are guests that you would like to see on the show, please let us know, and we'll be happy to have them. In the meantime, Reverend Saba, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, it's great being here, and I learned a lot myself tonight.
We always do each week, don't we?
Absolutely.
It's good. So we'll see you again next week. In the meantime, remember that there's a power within you that loves you, and you can get in touch with this power. Learn how to think, and you will learn how to live. Thank you for joining us on Spirituality Rocks.